is Tayen Kim. I just wanted to share about, I guess there's a lot to share about, but I will talk about the biggest general thing that God has done in my life. All the people who know me know that I have a very raw and kind of dark life. But no matter how negative or bitter I've been tempted to stay, it's actually always been very hard to stay that way for a long time. And I guess like the big story of my life is about my family. My father, okay, so I'm a missionary right now. And it's kind of funny because when I talk with people who meet me in my stage of life right now, they think that I grew up in this nice Christian family, and I'm this nice little girl. And I'd love to be that, but unfortunately I'm not. My father's actually a Zen master. I grew up learning a lot about Buddhism, all kinds of philosophy. The reason why I went to church, in fact, is because my parents sent me there to learn about different philosophies and stuff. My father's also very versed in the Bible. First time I ever shared the gospel with him, it turned out to be a 5-hour-long crying session with my dad intermittently spitting very relevant Bible verses at me, and at the time I had no idea what the heck he was saying. So yes, I grew up with a lot of philosophy in my life, a lot of analytical thinking, but also I grew up with a lot of violence. I grew up in a home with a lot of anger. My parents grew up partly during Japanese rule over Korea, and then partly after the independence. So physical survival was the #1 thing for them, and so the basic needs of a person aside from physical needs, they didn't really get to earn the value of that. So I grew up with a lot of their anger and their scars kind of affecting my life. And so yeah, and I'm an artist, very typical artist. So I grew up with a lot of pain and a lot of questions. And this is a weird thing about God is one day one of my cousins who did grow up in a very Christian home, his father is a pastor, he leaned over and said to me, "You know what, I'm not a Christian anymore." And I thought, how sad that he would say that. Okay, and I asked him why, and he said, "You know what, you need to start asking questions." And this is like recent, when after I received Christ, and he said, you gotta ask questions and challenge what you believe, and really think analytically about what you believe about God. And I thought, well, that's how I got to where I am. Actually, I'm so sorry that your experience wasn't the same, but it's because I asked those questions and I sought out what's the truth that I found Christ. Because if I had not, if I thought that everything that I learned in my home from my father and everything else was the truth, I would have ended my life a long time ago. And actually, being Asian in Southern California, going through problems in the 90s, wasn't very safe for an Asian girl growing up in Southern California. I made a lot of poor choices, and honestly, if God had not constantly brought people into my life to show me what unconditional love is, the best thing I'd be right now is dead. I can't even imagine what I would be aside from dead. It's very scary, and I'm sure a lot of people would know what I'm talking about if they grew up here. But yeah, that's exactly what God did. He had a lot of patience throughout my life. He sent random people out of nowhere to just show me that there's something that besides the things that I learned from my family, and bring me to church. And at the time I thought, going to church was square and all that, but I couldn't help but have an open heart because people were just so gracious to me. I'd never experienced that. You don't get that outside Christ. So I had to just surrender to what was reality and not the fantasy world that I had drummed up because of my upbringing. So that's really random and very like sporadic, I'm sorry. But that's just my experience in my life, and I hope to share more details later. Thank you.